Oh, there. I decided that I'm going to go ahead and make the cornbread to go with our potato soup, but I'm going to do a different video so it can not all go together and make such a long video. Okay, I'm going to take my flour, put about a half a cup. I had a cup in there, half a cup of flour, and then I'll put, let me get my bay leaves out of the way. People ask what these bay leaves, well, they used to be put in any kind of dry ingredients or anywhere in the cabinets to keep out bugs, and it's just something I do, not that I need it, it's just something I do. So I'm going to put 1 1/2 of my cornmeal. Now, I use my Clabber Girl baking powder, and I'll do about 4 teaspoons of that. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 teaspoons of our, isn't it, Billy Jean the Messer. I tell y'all, I can't do anything without making a mess. I don't know why. I've always been that way, so it's nothing new. Nothing new. You talk to my 92-year-old mother and she'll say, oh yeah, I could clean up the house, his room, and in just a little bit it'd be back just like it was. Okay, we're going to use, let me get my salt. We'll do a 1.5 teaspoons of salt. There's 1. Let's do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then we'll get our oil. I better get the 2 eggs, but let's do the oil. 2 tablespoons of oil. Let's see. All right, we'll do 2 tablespoons. 1, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil or olive oil, and put that in my little rack. Let me get 2 eggs. Get these 2 eggs. One, 2 eggs. Okay. I'm thinking about, after a while, making the old, let me get some milk. I had this canned milk left from the soup yesterday. I hate not using it, so let me see here just a second. Let me get it out. Let me rinse this out real quick, and I'll get a cup of cool water out of my. Get about 1/2 cup of cool water out of my dispenser, and then I will use about enough condensed milk to make I'm messing again. Enough condensed milk to finish out that can, which will be about 1.5 cups. So I'm going to try that right there just to see. And with me making that in that big skillet, I may add to this, because this would be just about a regular pan of cornbread, and that skillet always takes more. Make sure you get that baking powder and stuff mixed up, because if you don't, it'll be bitter and quinine. So let's go ahead and we'll just add our little bit of more. I'm going to do this. I'm going to add a little bit more milk. I'll just put down the recipe for a regular size pan of cornbread, because this is not going to be enough to fill my skillet where I want it. Usually I'll make double, but I've got enough baking powder in there, and I've got enough salt. See, that's runny like I like it. Let me put the rest of that milk in there. It's hard to make a cooking video because you cook off the cup. And when I was in school, we followed the recipe and all that, but when it comes to Southern cooking, like you learned before you ever went to home economics or cooking school, you do it all by feel and taste and smell. And now see, that's runny enough. That's fine. That would be fine if I made it runny with the water. So let me get another 1/2 cup of flour, and then I'll put another cup of cornmeal in there. Let me see how much that. Let me get this going. Let's see. I wasn't thinking I would like to put this not in just one of my regular pans. I always try to cook enough to have left over, like I said, for cornbread and milk, or cornbread and butter, or see now how that thickens that up. Just a half a flour and one. Now I think that might, let me get a little tablespoon, and because I don't want not enough salt. Well, that's fine. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put another tablespoon of this oil in there. Now the recipe that I put on will be for a 1. Well, I might just put the extra cornmeal and the extra, so you can cook it in your black iron skillet if that's what you want to do. If that's what you want to do, it would be okay. Now, let me move this. I'll turn my fire on. Now I'm going to grease my pan so that it gets hot. And I rub it up around the edges of my skillets so that it gets all over where it needs to be. Now let me check this. Okay, that's too thick. It's not too thick for most of you, and you'll think, oh, he's crazy. That's just right. No, I'll show you. Let me get a hot water out of my dispenser. Now Now this is an old-timey, that's why they used to call stuff hot water cornbread. This is not considered hot water cornbread because I've got eggs and I've got lard or grease and stuff in it. Hot water cornbread in the days that people didn't have very much ingredients or money, they would just use cornmeal and a little flour and water. They didn't put egg, they didn't put, but see, I do this too. My grandmother always said, add water to your mixture. Now I add this water to this, and you're going to think, oh, that's just ridiculous. But if you get too much water in it, then we just add a little more cornmeal or flour. See how soupy that is? You're going to think, oh, that's not no good. Yes, it'll be just fine. See, that's even thinner than a tempura batter. But when that bakes, let's see what, that's pretty soupy. That's what I want. That's what I want. Now this pan's hot, so I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Let me take this off, and I'll set this up here. No, I better just leave it there because it's gonna be real hot. Now then, let's get that out of there. Okay. Now that, why you heat that skillet is because that'll give that a crunchy edge on the outside, and it'll make it a good cornbread. That water will cook down, and that water will cook down and it will fluff that baking powder, that cornmeal, the flour, all that up into a nice big pan of cornbread. And my grandmother always said the reason that she put hot water, and my aunt too, the hot water cooks it, semi-cooks it to where you wouldn't think it. But I've preheated the oven to 425, so I'm going to cook this on 425. Let me get it in there. My little convection oven. And then we'll check back. See how that's bubbling up? So that heat is getting already to the middle of that cornbread. That water will make it moist and not a crumbly cornbread. And we'll see. I heard our cornbread go off. So let's get it out and see. See, there's our pan of cornbread. That kind of poked up in the middle, and it could have been because of a little too much water. But for cornbread, that's pretty cornbread, I'm going to tell you. Don't you think? I think it's a pretty pan of cornbread. Okay, now I'll take I use one of those little grease covers you get at the dollar store. Put that over your cornbread pan. If it's too hot, get you a pot holder. And I just turn it out on that. Then I automatically flip it onto my board. So there you have your cornbread out. And that's a good other use for this. I don't hardly use it for grease. Sometimes I do. But that's a beautiful cornbread. And let that set. Let me get another knife. This is one of our old bone carving knives, but I use it to cut my cornbread. Oh, look at the smoke. The smoke. Look at that cornbread, y'all. It's perfect cornbread. Okay, we'll put some butter on that and eat it. Wish y'all were here to have a piece with me. I hope y'all have a good weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye. What I do is I take my cornbread and I let it cool, cut it up, let it cool. And I get me a freezer bag because this is already cooled. I cut you off for a little bit. And I put this in my Ziploc bag. It keeps from the flies or anything from getting on it. So it can cool all the way down. And then I seal this. Once it's really cool, I'll seal it all the way, and it's pretty cool, so we'll be all right. I'll seal this, and I'll put that in the refrigerator. And at night, when I want cornbread and milk or buttered cornbread, I have it already ready, fixed, ready to go. I just thought I'd add that to this video so you would know that you don't have to waste a pan of cornbread. You can always keep it and warm it up in the microwave with butter, or you can put it in your milk and have cornbread and milk if you like that. If you're a Southerner, you probably like that. If not, then you can eat buttered cornbread. Have a good weekend. Thank you.